Hyvää päivää kaikille ja tervetuloa AGACAD Smart Documentation webinaariin. Ja toimin tilaisuuden niin kuin hostaajana tässä ja olen Tapani Parminen Arkancen avainasiakaspäällikkö Arkance Systems Finland Oystä ja esittelijänä on Dovydas Stanaitis AGACADilta. Next slide, please. Ja Arkance Systems Finland on osa Arkance Systemsin kansainvälistä osaajaverkostoa, johon myös AGACAD kuuluu. Ja meiltä löytyy ohjelmiston ratkaisuja ja palveluita rakennus- ja valmistusprosessien optimointiin. Ja tällä hetkellä meitä on noin 500 työntekijää 11 maassa ja liikevaihtoa noin 130 miljoonaa ja on perustettu vuonna 1987. Next slide. Ja Suomessa toimitetaan ratkaisuja tänne kestävän elinkaareen, kiinteistörakentaminen toimialalle ja tänään puhutaan suunnittelujärjestelmistä, Revitistä ja tähän liittyvistä AGACAD lisäosasta, että kerromme näistä AGACAD lisäosista sitten, millä voidaan tehostaa työskentelyä Revitin kanssa. Okay, I can think you can take next slide and you can start, Dovydas.
Okay, thank you, Tapani.
Thank you.
So, hello everyone, my name is Dovydas from AGACAD, and today I will be giving you a presentation about our latest application for Revit Smart Documentation. So, quickly about myself, my full name is Dovydas Stanaitis, and I'm a BIM application engineer at AGACAD. I am an HVAC engineer by education, and I have worked in this field for 5 years, designing HVAC systems with Revit. And now at AGACAD, I have been working here for 1 year now. And here I'm responsible for our MEP tools and also our general tools that everyone can use, Smart Browser and Smart Documentation. As for AGACAD, the company was founded in 1991, so it's 31 years old. We are authorized Autodesk developers, and our first Revit add-on was created in 2008. And we are part of the Arkance group since last year. And today we have a wide range of BIM applications for Revit. We cover precast concrete, wood and metal framing, and MEP design fields. And in this presentation, I will talk about our latest product, Smart Documentation. It lets you easily manage shop drawings for numerous assemblies, create and apply different dimensioning and tagging rules, create and maintain sheets, sort and number Revit elements, create legends, and much more. So if you ever felt like your current project documentation process is time-consuming, that you are repeating same tasks over and over again, I hope that you will be able to see how Smart Documentation can help you. And now we can jump into the live demo, but also I would like to mention that we have a questions tab here. So feel free to write your questions and I will look at them at the end of the webinar and answer them at the end again. So let me jump into my Revit project. And I am in the structural project and I will be creating assemblies and assembly drawings for these walls. But first, I need to number these walls, and for that, I will use Smart Documentation. And in the numbering and tags, I have element numbering, which using element numbering, I can create many numbering rules by many different standards and apply them all at the same time. And I have configurations for exterior and interior walls, and I can run them all at the same time using batch element numbering. So let me select the walls. Okay. And all the walls in my project are numbered, and we can see the result in my mark parameter value. So this is an exterior wall number 1. This is exterior wall number 2, 3, and so on, 5. And this is an interior wall number 1. So both the interior and exterior walls were numbered. And now I will go into assembly views. So features from assembly views lets me create assemblies and views for it. And these views can be automatically dimensioned and tagged, and schedules can be created according to schedule templates. And all of these views and schedules can then be placed onto sheets. And as you can see, my walls, these precast concrete walls, has all of these elements inserted onto them, like these lifting anchors or these structural connections. So, and of course, I want all of that documented. So I will select the wall, create assemblies, and choose a configuration. Let me run it. And now this configuration is creating all the views that I have predefined. And it's also dimensioning them. And let's take a look at the result. I can find my assembly in the project browser. So this was exterior wall number 2. So here I have a 3D view. And I have a front elevation. And in here, you can see all of the dimensions that have been automatically created. So at the top, I have a dimension with text node, and it dimensions my lifting anchors and also these connection plates. Here I have spot elevation as well. On the right side, I have an ordinate dimension, which gives me elevation of all of my connections that are in the wall. Here in the middle, our software also calculates and inserts my gravity point, so the center of gravity of this wall. And at the bottom, I have more dimensions. This one is for these tubes. And again, I have spot elevation in here as well. And that was just one of the views. I also have horizontal section, vertical section, and some schedules as well, like this material takeoff and the part list. And I also have the sheet, but it's empty for now. So now let's imagine that this was the first assembly that I have in my project and the first sheet. So, and for the next step, I will create a template out of this sheet. So I will drag and drop my 3D views, 3D view here, and my other views. And just have in mind that this is the only time that I need to manually place these views into my sheet, because after I do so, I will also drop the schedules here. Because after I do all that, I can go into my assemblies configuration and predefine this sheet as a template. Save. And now when I go back in here, I can specify another wall. This one has an opening for a door. And you can create, again, assembly for it. The difference is that this time, the assembly will have the sheet created automatically because of the template that we provided. So this was exterior wall number 5. Again, it has all of the views, and I can go straight to the sheet, and the sheet is automatically generated. And again, I have all the dimensions. I have the cutout for door here as well. So all of the elevations, and again, the schedules are in here as well. So this was all generated automatically. Now, also what's great about assemblies is that I can update them anytime. Let me go back to this view one more time. And let's say that I need to add a couple more of these lifting anchors. So I'll add one here, and maybe one of these plates as well. So currently these elements are not part of assembly, so they're not accounted for in the schedules or in the views, they're not dimensioned. But I can select the wall, update assemblies. Now these families will be included into my assembly. Okay, and let's see the results. Again, this was wall number 2. And here at the top, now I have more dimensions because I have more of these anchors. And I have, again, I have an additional coordinate dimension because of the additional plate. Okay, so that was an example with precast concrete. Again, the configurations can be created so you can work on any type of project. I'll show you another one right now. Okay, so here I have a mass timber project, and it has these columns, and you can see these columns have braces and all of the other different connections. And if I isolate it, you can see that columns has all of these complex cuts inside of them. And of course, I want all of them dimensioned. I want all of that in my shop drawings. So I will create, again, an assembly for it. This time I'm using a different configuration. So note that this is column number 29. Let's give this a couple of seconds. And I can find the assembly in my project browser. And now I have all these dimensions for the cuts. This time it's not for the families, but for the cuts. And if you think that this cut is in dimension, it is, but in the different elevation. Here, so this is right here now from this side. And also I would like to show you another assembly that I have created before this webinar. And here in the sheet, you can see that it has a lot more dimensions because it has more cuts. And when the dimensions are very close together, our software can detect that and move out these dimensions so they wouldn't overlap with one another. So that was assembly views, but sometimes in Revit, you might want to create views without having to create an assembly. And for that, I will go back in here, but in a different view. So now I have this big building, again, of precast concrete walls. But again, it's just an example. It can be your own project. Now, if I want to create views without having to create an assembly, I will use functionality from the Views tab. So, yep, just like assemblies, it basically do the same, but without, but it does that only for selected elements, and it doesn't create an assembly. But because of that, it doesn't create sheets or schedules, but I will show you how we can place the views onto sheets later on. So I will select this run of precast concrete walls. No, sorry, actually, let me show you the configuration first. So in here, I can predefine what types of views I want to create. So 3D view, plan view, sections, so on. I can assign view templates, and I can also create and assign dimensioning and tagging rules. And yeah, again, this is just an example. You can create your own rules according to your specific needs. So now let's select this run of walls. I will filter only the walls and create multi-element views. This is the south side. Okay, and I'm using multi-element views instead of single element views because I want all of these elements in my selection be in views together and not separately. So that's the difference between single element views and multi-element views. I will show you an example of single element views later on. Okay, so now the views are being generated and also they're being automatically dimensioned. Okay, let's give this a couple of seconds. Okay, and I can see the result right here. So I have a 3D view, and then I have section, front elevation, and this elevation has levels and grids. So that's the good thing, the benefit of views, that the views can have levels and grids, because in assemblies it's only possible to have fake grids. And I can also see the surroundings like this foundation slab, but I can turn off the surroundings if I don't want to see it. And again, this view is dimensioned. So I have at the top dimensions for these structural connections elements. Here I have a dimension for all of the openings or doors. So I have a horizontal dimension and also a vertical dimension. And at the bottom, I have another dimension for the wall panels themselves. Okay, so that was multi-element views, but you also have single element views. So to save you all some time, I have used single element views for the same selection of walls before this webinar, and the result is right here. So I have all these individual 3D views. And then I have, of course, sections and elevations and so on. And again, they're all dimensioned according to the same dimensioning rules that I have. So now that I have views, I can also automatically distribute them onto sheets. And for that, I'm using the Sheets tab from the Smart Documentation and distribute views on sheets. So in here, I have filtered only the views that begin with PC for precast concrete, and I have sorted them by view name. And in the layout rules, I can specify the title block that I want to use, and also offsets from the sides of the title block, and also between the views horizontally and vertically as well. So I will select all of these views and place them onto sheets. So the logic is that this functionality will create as many sheets as needed to place all of my selected views. And I have 4 new sheets generated, and they all have all of my specified views in there. So I have everything that I needed. Now I have in my sheets. And these viewports aren't overlapping with this text block because I have specified a 120 millimeter offset from the right side. Okay, so now we have looked into views and assemblies, and I will continue with other useful features like dimensions, sorting and numbering Revit elements, creating QR codes, and also legends, and also importing Excel spreadsheets into Revit, and also maintaining sheets. And sorry. And these functionalities, Smart Documentation, they can be very versatile. and anyone can use it. Structural engineers, MEP engineers, architects, or other manufacturers or designers. So I have tried to collect as many different examples as I could to demonstrate you the flexibility of this toolset. So for one of those examples, I will go into the MEP project. And in here, I am in the ventilation plan. And let's say that I need to dimension my ducts in this view. So with smart documentation, it's possible to create dimensions in two ways. One is predefined dimensions, and it works with user-created rules. And actually, my views and assemblies configurations had predefined dimensions inside of them, and that's how these views got dimensioned. And the other way is to use quick dimensions. Quick dimensions creates dimension chains between selected elements. And like many of our tools, it also has a configuration. So in here, I can specify categories of Revit elements that I want to include in my dimensions. So I have selected MEP elements and also grids. And I can choose whether to place a dimension on outer faces of elements or center lines. And I will start by selecting a point. And to finish a dimension chain, I need to select an element. And now all the ducts and grids in between these 2 points got included in my dimension. And I can just continue dimensioning. Again, just point and an element. Again, point and the element. And everything in between gets dimensioned. And I can do that in section view as well. So in point, and then finish dimension chain, an element, and I have everything dimensioned. And I don't have to be precise here. Click just about anywhere. And it's only that you need to select an actual element for my last point. And this section B, it was dimensioned before this webinar to show you again the functionality of this of the quick dimensions. So with quick dimensions, you can select many different categories, and according to your selection, you can dimension different disciplines of drawings. So what I have showed you now was an MEP drawing, but if you had selected other categories, you could do the same for the architectural or structural drawing as well. Okay, and now for my next example and my next feature, I will be going into another structural project. So here I have columns placed at the intersection of grids. And here you can see those columns, and they also have some structural connections placed onto them. And now this view doesn't have any tags or marks. So first what I will do is I will tag all of these elements so you can see the result when I number them. So I will return to numbering and tags. And tag elements can tag many different categories of elements at the same time, and it can also use different rules, multiple different rules for all of these categories, so we can get multiple different tags. Then you can do that with just plain Revit tag all functionality. So tag elements, I have a configuration for columns and connections. And now I have all of my elements tagged, but the tags are displaying question marks because we don't have the values empty for now. So next step is filling these values. For that, I will be using batch element numbering again. So my columns will receive a column location mark, meaning they will recognize which grids they are placed on, and also the level. And the connections will get the column location mark of their hosts, and also some more things that you will see in a minute. Okay, and elements being numbered. So hundreds of elements have been numbered. Only a few are visible in this view. And you can see now that I have created a little bit of a mess because my tags are overlapping. But that's not an issue because I can update my tags and they are moved out to avoid intersection. And the result is right here. So for example, this column, you can see that it has a mark D3L1, meaning that it is placed at the intersections of grids D and 3. And L1 refers to the level 1. And in here, I have columns placed at level 4 as well. So this one is at grids C3 and again L4 because it's placed at level 4. And for the connections, for example, this one. So the first thing is D3L1. So it's the mark of its host. So that element marking, we can read information from the hosts as well. PC3 is the type name of this connection. And then we have the unique number that we generated for every connection. This one is number 29. And to show you what more our software can do, I have also added the elevation. So this one is 8 meters up. The elevation is 8 meters. And it's all visible in my tag. So you can see how complex we can create the numbering. And again, I would like to mention that all of these rules, they just need to be created once, and then they can be used countless times in many different projects. And all of these rules, the configurations of Smart Documentation, they can be placed onto the server location so that everyone in the office can use and access the same configurations. So again, you have standardization, everyone uses same configurations. Okay, and now we're going to take a look into another example in the architectural model. And in here, I will be showing another functionality of our toolset, and that is creating legends. Well, not exactly legends, but we can create any kind of table that we need, but in a legend view. And for this example, we will be creating a specification of doors in a table view. So for that, all I need is the sample block. And the sample block, it consists of just some lines that make up the table, also text nodes, and some generic annotations that I can load with load sample annotations. And I also have a Revit legend component and some dimensions, but you don't have to have those. I just have them for this example. I will select everything in view and create edit legend. So in the next window, I am constructing a table that I want to see in my legend view. So first I need to select parameters. And in here, in my table, I will see the type name, width and height of my doors, and also the count value. And as you can see here, I also have family and family name and level, and I'm keeping them as hidden because I will need those parameters only for my grouping and sorting right here. And also the split by page checkbox at level indicates that I will have separate tables created for every level. Yep, and I'm grouping by level, then family, and then type name. Okay, I will add row numbers and start building a table. So first, what I need to do is I need to select a line which represents the column width. So this line, and then elements to be arrowed, copied to the right side. And as you can see, I have now I have more columns for every parameter that I had. And to finish a table, I need to select a line this time for row height and elements to be arrowed or copied down. And that's finished. So this one was just a copy. So this table here, this one is for level 1. This one is ground floor. And this is level 2, and so on. So with legend creation, you can create any table that you need using parameters from your Revit families. And of course, it doesn't have to be just the one like I have created. Is just an example. It can be whatever you need. And you can also use pictures like these legend components. I find that they usually do the job just about right. Okay, so for my next example, I will quickly rename these legends. So this first one was doors level 1. This was level 0, level 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now I will go into my sheet. As you can see in this architectural project, I only have one sheet, and it has a viewport for my plan, and I have the door schedule of this very same level. And let's add the legend that we have created here as well. And you can see that all of the information matches the schedule and the count values as well. So you know that this legend is accurate. And let's say now that they need to create more sheets exactly like this with the same placement of my plans and my schedules and my legends. Now you could, of course, do all of that manually and align all of the views, drag and drop all of the views to different sheets. But again, that takes a lot of time. And instead, we can use from sheets, manage sheets. And similarly, like we did in the assemblies, I can select this sheet right here as a template and create new sheets. So the next step is to select views that I want to place on my new sheets. So the remaining floor plans, also the legends, and the remaining schedules as well. Okay, I will keep the same scale and crop and all of the other settings. And very importantly, I have this origin to origin check, and I will show you what that does in a minute. So next step is view mapping. So in this table, every row represents a newly created sheet. I will group views by type, and all of that is sorted. And the last step is just the naming of my new sheets. So this is first, second, third, and fourth. Okay, now let's give the software a little bit time to think and create all of the new sheets and place views there. And I think your waiting times will be a little bit faster because the webinar is slowing me down a little bit. Okay, and now it's finished. Okay, so let's see the result. I have 4 new sheets generated. And in every sheet, again, I have the floor plan, and I have, again, the door schedule of the same level that I have here. And again, the legend as well. And again, notice that the quantity values are identical. And also, keep an eye on these grids. For example, number 6 and the letter L. You can see as I flick through the first and the underground level, these grids, they stay in place because we're aligned to one another because of our origin to origin setting. And all of the schedules and legends are also in the same, they're also aligned together. And it's true for all the other views or in other sheets as well. So I have all that created too. Okay, so we're almost at the end of our webinar. Just a few more productivity features from the Smart Documentation. So with Smart Documentation, you can also import Excel files to Revit with all the formatting intact. And the software also maintains the link between Excel and Revit, so we can synchronize the files anytime. So I will select my file. And I can import just one or multiple sheets from Excel. Let's choose 2, and I have some text and line styles as well. Draw table, and these sheets are now inside the Revit. These can be created as drafting views or as legends. So I have them in here. But of course, during the course of a project, you still might need to make some changes to your Excel spreadsheets. And let's imitate that by using, by opening the Excel file and making some changes here. So for example, I will choose these cells and change the font color to red, maybe change the column width of this one. And in the second spreadsheet, what else should we do? Maybe add a couple more of data rows right here. So, and make them again large. I will save this one and close. And now back in here, back in Revit, when I click Manage Tables, I will see yellow exclamation marks indicating that changes were made. I can select both of them and update selected. Okay, so straight away you can see that the second spreadsheet got 2 more data columns. And the first one, the font color was changed and the column width was changed again. Okay, and for the last example, let's generate QR codes in Revit. And for that, let me go back to my structural project. This one. Okay, so the idea behind this feature is that we're generating QR codes as images based on the selected parameter values. And this can help ensure better quality control, enhance collaboration between teams, or maybe speed up the manufacturing processes. And these codes values can be seen by scanning them, and that can be done, of course, usually by smartphone nowadays. So I will go into images, QR barcode generator, so we can generate as barcodes as well. I will choose walls for this example. And I need to choose an image parameter next. And here I have a configuration, and here I can have specified some parameters that I want to see in my QR code value. And again, some prefixes, suffixes, units, whether I want to see them or not, so many different options. And I have the filtering settings if I want to filter only the specific elements. Okay, and I have created QR codes for walls that are in my filter. And to see those images, first, I need to have a schedule. And that schedule needs to have my image parameter. But again, the image isn't visible here. To see that image, I need to go onto a sheet. Here I have an empty one. And drop my schedule in here. And now the QR codes are visible. So any of you, feel free to point your smartphones to these codes and see for yourselves that they work. And yeah, I will give you a couple of seconds to do that. But other than that, that's all that I wanted to show live today. Okay, so I hope you had enough time. Now let's go back to the slides. Okay, some takeaways from today's webinar. Smart documentation automates the fundamental annotation features of Revit: dimensions, tags, views, sheets, legends, and more. And it also provides the additional value for features that are not in the out-of-the-box Revit, like element marking and data extraction, QR code generation, or Excel spreadsheet import. And I hope that based on these various examples, you saw that the tool is very flexible and anyone can use it. Architects, MEP engineers, structural engineers, and so on. And smart documentation is easy to learn, and it can replace hours of drafting with just a few clicks. And do not take my word for it. You can try it out by yourselves. Simply go to the AGACAD website and find the smart documentation there. And now we have a Q&A session. So let me see what you have asked me. Okay, I have a question from Jona. On average, how much time in percents can be saved by using smart documentation tool compared to Revit default document management tools? You know, it's really a guesstimation, but for smart documentation, you will need to spend some time creating your configurations, you know, depending on your families that you have and the projects that you use. So there goes a couple of hours there, but after you have spent that time, you will get really large time savings. I know, you know, we can dimension the whole drawing in a matter of seconds, and that would probably take you like maybe 20 minutes using all that by hand. But smart documentation will not, you know, usually will not do that 100% what you like. You know, you still might want to have just some small changes made to your drawing. So I would say add a couple of minutes after you have used the smart documentation on this large drawing for dimensions. Maybe add a couple of minutes to modify it however you want to have a precise what you need. But I don't know, percentage-wise, I don't know, I would say 80% probably. Okay, another question: how much training does a user need in order to use efficiently master this tool? It really depends, again, on your Revit experience. If you feel good in Revit, you know the basics. Well, the tool, it uses. If you know Revit well, you will get to know Smart Documentation well. If not, maybe you need 1 more hour. But with Smart Documentation, I think we have 2 hours of training provided. So I think that should be enough for the training. Can you get material masses out in kilograms with material takeoff? Yep, so I think you can. So, the thing with material takeoff, it's not something that Smart Documentation creates material takeoff. It's just a regular Revit schedule. And it's just that we have in our Smart Documentation settings, we have specified to create this specific Revit schedule. And if in that schedule you can specify to have kilograms, you will be able to duplicate all that with Smart Documentation. Hope so. You have more questions? I don't think that I have. So thank you all for your questions. And so that was all that I had from myself. Now I will give the word back to Tapani for some closing words. Thank you all. Tapani?
Joo, kiitoksia kaikille osanotosta ja tosiaan, jos on tarvetta, niin meiltä saa sitten lisätietoja täältä Arkance Suomesta, että tuossa mun sähköpostiosta ja puhelinnumero, että autetaan näissä rakennetun ympäristön digitaalisissa ratkaisuissa, niin meihin voi olla yhteydessä. Ja kiitos kaikille ja hyvää päivän jatkoa. Thank you.